Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Padyantam Vande Guru Paramparam अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः शारदा शारदां भोजवदना वदनां भुजे सर्वदा सर्वदास्माकं सन्निधिं सन्निधिं क्रियात् श्री शारदा परमेश्वर्यै नमः। ॐ श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीमेधा दक्षिणामूर्तिस्वामिने नमः। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ। So once again, namaste to all. So we are seeing the 35th shloka, if I am not wrong. Aham akashavat sarvam bahirantah gatochyutah sada sarva samah shuddha nitya sangah nirmalah achalah. This is of the Adi Shankara as bringing us back to Nididhyasanam, how we should meditate, what is it that we should meditate on, what is it that we should meditate as. That is what he is explaining in this sloka, and I think we did see some of the word meanings, if I am not wrong, and I think we were in the word Nissanga, and that is why I was, I think, explaining to you about how to achieve this Nissangatva, converting the special relationship into general relationships. So Nissanga does not mean not having any relationship at all. When we are in the Vyavaharika world, relationships will be there. Only thing is we have to know how to manage without affecting our own peace of mind and tranquility, right? And this is very important for grihasthas, I was telling you. Because the problem of relationship doesn't come for a brahmachari. His only relationship will be with his guru. I'm talking about Gurukulam times, not today. Today there is no brahmachari, at least most of them. And Vanaprastha also no question of relationship, because he is supposed to exclude himself from the society, everything, withdraw from the society. Sannyasa, he formally gives up all relationship. So only the grihastha is caught in this relationship, this sangatvam business. So this becomes very, very important. In fact, it is said that a grihastha, how he should behave with everybody around him, he says he should be like the tongue. See, the tongue, this in between 32 teeth, sharp teeth, each one of them is very sharp. But the tongue moves around in the mouth in such a way that it doesn't get caught in any of this between the two teeth. That's the smartness of the tongue. If the tongue had a bone, it would have certainly got caught. So for a grihastha, the bone is the ego. If you operate at the ego level, you will certainly get caught in these relationships, and that is going to hurt you. Because when the tongue gets caught between two teeth, teeth don't get hurt, the tongue which gets hurt. So that is why the example is given that a grihastha should lead a life like the tongue within all the relationships surrounding him, waiting to bite this grihastha. So he should be smart enough like the tongue, go around all these relationships, be in the middle of relationships, but avoid getting caught in the relationships. That is what this Nisangatvam is all about. So Puja Swami Dayananda Saraswati says that all relationships are like playing a role, like what we discussed with Gopalakrishna Mama in the last class. It's like playing the role. In Vyavahara, we cannot avoid relationships at all. And there is nothing called a perfect role. In every role, when you come onto the stage, even after doing a lot of rehearsals, every actor will forget a few lines. This I am telling you because of my experience of being a stage artist at one point in time in my life. Everybody will come to the stage fully prepared, but on the stage, they will forget a few lines. The smartness is how you make it up. Audience will not even come to know that this has been made up by this fellow. This is not there in the original script. Audience don't know the script. So similarly, there is nothing called a perfect role. Every role will have certain pitfalls. The success of a person, of a sadhaka, a grihastha sadhaka, is how he manages these kind of situations, right? And the most important lesson we have to keep in mind is it is not possible to satisfy everybody, to make everybody happy. This is the truth of life. You cannot make everybody happy. As somebody has said, I don't know the formula for success, but I know the formula for failure, that is trying to please everybody. When you try to please everybody, you will end up as a failure only. So in any vyavahara, there will be people who will be happy with your behavior or with your association. There will be people who will not be happy with your association. This reality we must imbibe, we must understand. So if XYZ is not happy, so be it. It's not going to affect me at all. I am not going to allow their unhappiness to affect me and make me unhappy. And not only that, there are only people unhappy, the same people with whom you have vyavahara, most of the times they will be happy, many times they will be unhappy. So we are not talking about two different set of people, the same set of people. Many times they will be happy and sometimes they will be unhappy. That also is a reality. So you should not get caught in that, oh, this fellow, I have made this person, unhappy. If you get into that emotional problem, the result will be nothing. They may overcome their unhappiness, but they will pass on that unhappiness to you. And you will be sitting and brooding. So there is nothing called a perfect situation. So we have to accept all these imperfections as a vyavaharika, guna, vyavaharika, what we can call the characteristic of a vyavaharika situation, right? We should try to be maximum perfect, but perfection is not possible. That also we must keep it in our mind. So what is the best way? Give freedom to everybody to be what they are and accept everybody as they are. In fact, Puja Swamiji says, Dayananda Saraswati says, the more freedom you give to everybody to be what they are, the more freedom you yourself will enjoy. Our loss of freedom occurs when we actually deny freedom to others to be what they are. As we often see, we can't change anybody. So the moment we try to change somebody, change their nature, it will boomerang on us. We will have to eventually change our thought because we can't change the other people, right? And what we should do in Nididhyasanam is bring all these things in our mind. I am Nisangaha. I have no Sangatvam. Wherever I am taking myself as a Sangaha, I should bring all these things into mind. So that is the Nididhyasanam, the meditation that we should do. We should meditate that every relationship is actually a mithya. Every relationship is an appearance. It is all vyavaharika in nature. It is not paramarthika. And everything which is vyavaharika is temporary in nature. It is also inevitable because those relationships, I have come into them because maybe, why maybe? Because of my purva janma samskaras only. All the karmas, my karma phalam which was there in the purva janma, that is what brings me into these relationships in this janma. If you have a neighbor who is constantly troubling you, in one of the purva janmas, you must have been his neighbor and you might have troubled him. So in this janma, the cycle has come around and he is now your neighbor and he is troubling you. Similarly, all relationships you can extend, your spouse, children, everything. So we must bring all these facts, all these realities into our mind and say that all these things are all at the Vyavaharika level. I am not affected by these things. Aham Nisangaha. That is what we have to say. Why Nisangaha? Brahma is Nisang. Brahman is Nisangaha. Atma is Nisangaha. I am that Atma. I am that Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. This is how we have to understand and do the Nididhyasana meditation from the Nisangatvam point of view. As I told you, the meditation has to focus on what our problem is. If your problem is not Nisangatvam, then there is no need for meditating on Nisangatvam. But then as we see, most of the grihasthas or people like us who are samsaris, the biggest problem we have got is the Sangatvam, which is responsible for all our miseries and sorrows and everything. So then from that angle, this becomes a very important meditation, right? So just to say Aham Brahmasmi is not enough. I should also recall that all these problems will come when I take myself as Brahma. I cannot wish away that problem from a Vyavaharika angle. So what I should do, I must learn to accept everything that comes. Because everything is in me. Isn't it? So once you fully understand what this Aham Brahmasmi is, I am the Karanam, Jagat Karanam. Because Aham Brahman is Jagat Karanam, Aham Brahmasmi, I am the Jagat Karanam. The entire Jagat, including all these relationships we are talking about, everything is in me. How can I reject anything? This is the height of understanding of how we have to deal with all these kind of, the relationship problems or any other problem for that matter. And that's why, when we talk about glories and, when we see somebody performing very well or having a very special talent or anything, if you want to avoid feeling jealous and all that, or for the person who is actually, okay, first we'll deal. If you want to avoid being jealous of that person, you must see that, learn to see that as your own talent. Because all talents are with Ishvara only. Any talent anybody enjoys, is the talent which Ishvara has allowed him to, or Ishvara is manifesting through that particular person. That is why that person has got the talent. And Ishvara chooses that person to manifest because of that person's Purva Janma karmas. If we understand this holistically, then we will not have any jealousy at all. And for the person also, for him to become, not to become conceited, arrogant, because I am so and so and so. If we understand that what I am today, if I have got this talent, it is because of Ishwara's anugraha that this talent, it is Ishwara's talent which is manifesting through me. Ishwara has made me a nimitta to exhibit this talent. That is all it is. Nothing belongs to me. If he has that understanding, then he will also not feel conceited or proud or arrogant. So these are all the ways, these are all part and parcel of meditation only. Whichever problem that you are facing with, wherever you are finding any difficult situation in life, immediately make the connection with Aham Brahmasmi and then meditate upon Viparita Bhavana to remove that problem from your vyavahara. Slowly, it will keep happening. And I can guarantee you that it happens. My personal experience, I am telling you. I am not quoting any scriptures or anything. If you are really sincere, go about it, it happens. It is possible without, as I say, creating any ripples on the surface. You can convert your special relationships into general relationships. You can give maximum freedom to all others around you to be what they are, so that you enjoy maximum freedom for yourself. All this is possible. But we must make up our mind and then we should embark on this path. Right? So, as Atma, as Asangaha, we have to accept everything as they are. And this has to be done very consciously. We cannot forget the problem, try to run away with it and all. In fact, the far you run away with it, the faster the problems will catch up with you. Because any problem has got different dimensions. From one dimension, if you run away, another dimension will catch up with you. So, whenever we face, by doing meditation, if you have got that, if you have been doing this Nididhyasanam for quite some time, whenever you face a problem, this thought will immediately come. This problem, aham nisanga. I don't need to actually get myself into this problem at all. Let it be there. I will just accept it. That's all. I don't need to react to any of these problems at all. That is how we have to practice this. The last word was nirmalaha. We have seen this before, right? So there we took that pure. Here we can say nirmalaha is free from ignorance, because we have to make some difference when the same words are used, right? Ajnana mala rahitaha. So we can take that as nirmalaha. Because mala, so many different kinds of malas are there. So even if the word nirmalaha occurs 1 dozen times, we can attribute different meanings to this word nirmalaha, right? So we can here say that because even niranjanaha was a word I think we used. Niranjanaha, nirmalaha, these words are all used, all mean the same thing from a very general point of view. But we can, as I said, attribute different meanings, different shades of meanings. So we can say that ajnana mala nirmala, ajnana mala rahitaha, or we can even say attribute nirmalaha to all the malas which are there in our sukshma sharira. Ragadveshadi malaha, right? We can say that Sukshma Sharira Mala Rahitaha. That also we can take as Nirmalaha. So when you are doing, you can meditate on that. Then Achalaha. Achalaha means free from all movements. So once you understand Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Sarvagatosmi, I am all pervading, Sarvavyapi Brahman Ahamasmi, then automatically Achalaha will make sense. Because if you are pervading everywhere, you have no place to move, no space to move. That's why you are Achalaha. Right? So that was the 35th sloka. Now we will go to the 36th sloka. Nitya Shuddha Vimuktaikam Akhandanandamadvayam Satyam Jnanamanantam Yat Param Brahmahameva Tat. Again, a very simple sloka. If you just do the Padachera itself, you will know the meaning, right? He says, Nitya Shuddha Vimukta Ekam. We should add Nityam to every word. Huh? So, Nitya Shuddham, Nitya Vimuktam, Nitya Ekam. So, I am ever pure, I am ever free, and I am ever non-dual. That is how we have to understand this first word. And this is the difference between Vishishta Advaitam and Advaitam, as I told you in one of the earlier classes. Or did I say in some other class? Now I am taking so many classes, I keep forgetting what I have taught, honestly speaking. Right. And I'm finding it difficult what to do to remember what I have taught. Because the subject is the same. Whether it is Vishnu Sahasranamam or whether it is Tattva Bodha or whether it is Atma Bodha, the subject matter is the same. So somewhere I quote some example, somewhere else I say something else. I'm not very sure whether I say, and then I also have a feeling that if I repeat it constantly, people will say, oh, this has already been talking, only the same thing is talking again and again. So that also I want to avoid. Anyhow, I will just repeat very briefly. The difference between Visishta Advaitam and Advaitam is this. They don't use this Nityatva. Visishta Advaitins, they accept that Brahman is Ekam. But they don't accept Brahman is Ekam Nitya. What they say is, before the creation, Brahman was Ekam. During the creation, Brahman becomes Bahu, plural, lot. And after Pralayam, again Brahman becomes Ekam. This is their philosophy. And if you look at it very carefully, there is only a very minor difference between what they say and what we say. We also say Brahman was Ekam before creation. Good. Then we say that during creation also, Brahman remains Ekam because the Swarupa of this entire creation, everything that we actually see in the creation, the Swarupa is Brahma Swarupa only. So for us, even though the creation is there, it is the plurality is there or Dvaitam is there, Bahutvam is there, still we say we are just negating all this plurality as Mithya, and we are considering that Brahman alone to be the only absolute reality. We may give many explanations. There is Vyavaharika, that is Paramarthikam and all. They don't accept all these things. Vishishta Advaitin say nothing doing. You are just bringing all the Shankaracharyas, bring this Mithyatvam and all of his own in order to justify what he wants to say. But that is not the reality we experience. The only problem in their thing is, If you accept Brahman was alone before the creation, there was only Brahman. How did the creation come? They don't explain. From where the creation come? They don't explain. They don't accept all this pot and clay example and all. He says you can make any number of such examples like Swarnam and Kanganam and Ghata and Mrud. All these examples you can make, but we don't accept that. That is their problem. They have no explanation for creation. Whereas we have an explanation for creation. Is Brahman himself converted himself into this entire creation. And our explanation is not our Shankaracharya's explanation. In fact, many people have got this wrong notion that Advaitam is a philosophy given by Shankaracharya. Totally wrong notion. Shankaracharya only professed Advaitam because Advaitam is the philosophy of the Upanishads. Vedavyasa has established Advaitam as the philosophy in Brahma Sutra. Adi Shankara, after writing the Brahma Sutra Bhashyam, has understood what exactly the Vedas philosophy is. And that is why he actually professed Advaita as the real philosophy or the real message of the Vedas. But if you already have a preconceived notion, then you will actually read everything, interpret everything to fit into that preconceived notion that you have got. That is what happened to all the other matams. In fact, in Taittiriya Upanishad it says, this Brahman was one, then he made a sankalpa, created this world and then entered the world. All figurative expressions. Typically what it means, Brahman made himself into this entire creation. That is what it is. But except for Advaitins, nobody else accepts this. Especially Visishta Advaita. Visishta Advaitin comes very close. But they don't go the last mile, they don't travel. They want to, they restrain themselves for some reason. The reason is they are unable to actually totally be objective in this case. That emotional attachment to Bhagavan, there is that. So when you come to the creation, this thing is, there is a Ishvara who is separate from us. So Ishvara, Brahman has created. After the creation, he separates himself so that we pray to him. We become dehas, jivas. Aham jiva, saha paramatma, or tat paramatma, whatever you can say. Then after that, jiva and paramatma become one. This is their formula, Visishta Advaitin's formula. So, what is to say, they don't accept Nityam, but for Advaitins, Nityam, Advaitam is our philosophy. Right? For them, Advaitam is a phase. One of the phases. So you go Advaitam, Dvaitam, Advaitam. Dvaitam, Advaitam. Like that we go on doing between two philosophies, we keep juggling. Right? So even Rajju Sarpa, they don't accept that example. Anyhow, let us not get into that. So here he is said, Nitya Shuddha Vimukta Ekam, then Akhanda Anandam Advayam. Second word, right? Akhanda Anandam, undivided happiness. Ananda. Why does he use this word Akhanda Anandam? Because we know another word which is called Khanda Ananda. Experiential happiness, which comes divided. One part now, another part sometime later, in between sorrow. There's a Khanda Ananda. happiness for some times, a temporary happiness which comes and goes, which is what is said in Taittiriya Upanishad, that Priya, Moda, Pramoda. Different degrees of that Khanda Anandam is there. Because only in temporary you can have degree. If it is permanent, there can be only one. Permanent cannot be Priya permanent, Moda permanent, and Pramoda permanent. Permanent can be, if it is permanent, there can be only one permanent, isn't it? You cannot have it impermanently permanent. So, this Khanda Anandam is what? Pratibimba Ananda. Reflected happiness. Happiness which is reflected by the original happiness onto this upadhi. That is Khanda Ananda. Whereas he says, my Swarupa is not Khanda Anandam, Akhanda Ananda Swarupa. My nature, by nature, I am happiness embodiment. Only happiness is there. Now sorrow is there in my nature. This Pratibimba Anandam is a state of mind, not nature. Bimba Anandam is my nature. Right? That is why in Advaita, we never say experience happiness. Because we know that whenever we are talking about experiential happiness, it is only a reflection, it is not the real happiness. And that happiness also comes from a state of mind when temporarily, for a moment, the mind is in a Purnatvam state. If you actually analyze from where, how do we feel happy? Very simple analysis if you do, we feel happy when we accomplish something. Right? What does that mean? Before we accomplished that, there was a shortfall in our Purnatva. We felt that we were Apurnaha without that accomplishment. The moment we accomplish that particular thing, for a moment we feel we are Purna. The mind is very completely Purnatvam comes into the mind. Then the happiness comes. The Bimba Ananda gets reflected in that mind at that time. But that lasts only for a few small period of time. Then the Apurnatvam again comes back. So that is why we go on this, this oscillation or this changing between happiness, sorrow keeps taking place. Because we are dilly-dallying, the mind is dilly-dallying between Purnatvam and Apurnatvam. Whenever we feel Purnaha, you will have happiness. In fact, happiness follows Purnatvam. And that is why in Nididhyasanam, Aham Purnaha is one of the most important meditation that I have to do. I don't lack anything in my life. I have everything. If there is any lack or anything, any limitation, it is to my body-mind complex. I, Brahman, has nothing. I cannot have anything missing in my life because everything in this world, in this universe is within me. How can then anything be missing? When everything is in me, when I understand that and assimilate that knowledge, there cannot be anything missing from me. And once I understand that everything is in me, then Aham Purnaha. And that is the Akhanda Anandam he is talking about. Right? So that is why we don't experience, even some people say Nirvikalpa Samadhi, I experienced Ananda. If you have experienced Ananda in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, and once you come out of the Samadhi, that Ananda will go away. When you are in the Nirvikalpa Samadhi, you have made your mind totally tranquil. There's a possibility that you are experiencing Ananda. Because your mind has become a very good reflective surface, and the light of that Ananda, that Swayam Jyoti Ananda, is fully shining on that reflection, on the reflective medium of your mind, which is tranquil, possible. But what will happen when you come out of the Samadhi? The mind goes back into its original, Sankalpa Vikalpatmakam business. Where will that Ananda go? Immediately the mind loses its reflective capacity, pure reflective capacity. So that Ananda also will disappear. Even though that Ananda, Swayam Prakasha Ananda is still there, but the mind, the reflective medium is gone. So even if somebody says in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, I had experienced this Ananda, that is also a temporary Ananda only. Maybe one can say that was a Pramoda Ananda, highest degree of Ananda. Experiential only, right? So this is how we have to understand this Akhanda Ananda, right? The same case, there's so many examples. When we hear a joke, we are feeling happy, we laugh, but momentary. After that, gone. In fact, when we are laughing, if somebody makes a joke about our laughing, we will become sad. Right? So that is how it is. So all these are all manifest anandas, whereas what we are talking about is a Swarupa Ananda, which now and then manifests through this like Priya, Modha, Pramoda, but Swarupataya Aham Ananda Swarupa hai eva. Right? And that is what next sentence immediately he brings in Taittiriya Upanishad. Right? What does he say? He says Satyam Jnanam Anantam Yat. What is my Swarupa? Satyam Jnanam Anantam Yat Param Brahma. Right? Yat Param Brahma Eva Tat. Taittiriya Upanishad. Satchidananda is Taittiriya Upanishad. Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Right? So, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. That is the words in Taittiriya Upanishad. Right? So, Satyam we have seen. What is Satyam? Trikale api tishtati. That which is valid and which exists in all three periods of time, past, present and future. Satyam. So immediately you pick up anything, is it Satyam or Asatyam? We'll get the answer. Then nothing in this entire universe which is Trikale api tishtati. Only Brahman, for which Shastra is the Pramana, says that Brahman exists in all, it is eternal, exists in all period of time. So from that equation, we can immediately say, what is Satyam? Only Brahman is Satyam. Satyam ekam Brahma tad viparitam. I'm forgetting. Tattva Bodha sentence. Okay. So, which is ever existent is Satyam. Jnanam means what? Pure consciousness, Chit aspect. It is not Vritti Jnanam, mind you, it is Swarupa Jnanam, the pure existence. And Anantam we know is limitless. And there what? Ananda. So that's why I keep saying Anantam and Anandam is the one and the same thing. You will get Ananda only when you are Ananta. The Swarupa Ananda comes because of our nature as being limitless. So Anantameva Ananda, limitless, Ananta, right? So I am limitless existence, limitless awareness, that is consciousness, and therefore I am Parabrahma. And this is the sample of Nididhyasana which we have to bring in our mind. Like that, we can add any number of Brahma Swarupam to this. All we have been seeing all those words here only, right? And this has to be continuously practiced. Continuously practiced for how long? Till your habitual reactions go away. Till you are convinced in your mind is I am no longer this body mind complex. You shed your identification with the body mind complex till you get that completely away, and you fully assimilate this knowledge at your subconscious level that Aham Brahmasmi. Till such time you have to keep doing it. This Nididhyasana. And it is not that you have to do it sitting in one place and all that. In every transaction, if you recall this knowledge of Aham Brahmasmi, in every relationship, in every interaction with everybody in this Vyavaharika Jagat, if you keep that in mind, that is Nididhyasana only. What is the Nididhyasana? Tat Chintanam, Tat Khatanam. That is what is Nididhyasana. Be in that knowledge always. That is practice. Like these cricket players and all, before they play a match and all that, what they do? They keep doing net practice. In fact, there's a story that Sachin Tendulkar, he had an ambition to become a big cricketer. And he will never lose any opportunity to practice batting. So early morning he will get up and he will take up this tennis ball or something with a bat and throw the ball on a wall and then keep practicing that. So it is not necessary that you have to go to some ground, cricket ground, have nets and all and do a net practice. A real serious seeker will practice Nididhyasanam wherever, in whatever situation he is. If he is a serious seeker, you are seriously wanting to get rid of this samsara and all the samsara dukkhas you want to get rid. The Shastra has already told you that you are a mukta, nitya mukta. So ask yourself, Shastra tells me I am nitya mukta, why I don't feel like nitya mukta? You will immediately get the answer. My dear, you don't feel like nitya mukta because of all these things. You have put so many covers over this nitya muktatvam of yours, this nitya mukta swarupa of yours. You have to remove them. Then only you will know that you are nitya mukta. Once you understand I am nitya mukta, all these things will all be waste. I mean, they are all finished. No relevance of any of these things. No moksha purushartha, nothing. No jivan mukta, no videha mukta, nothing will be there. Once you understand, you are nitya mukta. For that, this nididhyasana is the most important thing. To remove all that is taking you away, stripping you away from understanding, realizing, assimilating your real swarupa of being nitya mukta. That is why nididhyasana. So that is why I said, anywhere, anytime, you can keep on doing. After all what? Bringing the thought, bringing that idea, bringing that knowledge into our mind, and then overcoming this viparita with the viparita bhavana of whatever we today understand ourselves to be. So, if somebody is trying to change your attitude, you don't try to change his attitude. Let him be, let him say whatever he is saying. He is right from his own point of view. It's a different thing that my point of view doesn't agree with his point of view. That's all. Let it be like that. What is it going to make a difference? Like that. So, this kind of attitude and practice, if we develop, then Nididhyasanam is what we are doing. Now, many times we feel we know better than everybody else. A father thinks he knows better than his son. Son thinks that at some stage thinks that he knows better than his father. The Swami Paramarthananda gives one nice anecdote. Says, once a father told his son that he wanted to discuss some facts of life with the son. So they fixed up a particular date. And on that day, both of them met. And the son immediately asked the father, "Yes, daddy, tell me what facts of life you want to know from me." Father thought that he will teach the son some facts of life. The son feels that he already knows all the facts of life and he is asking the father, "What you want to learn from me?" Right. So, that the son has got a certain view about the facts in his life. I have got certain views about the facts in my life, which I might have gained after a long years of experience with the world and having set up a family and all that. My son has not gone through that process. So it is very legitimate for him to feel that feel differently from me about certain facts of life. Over a period of time, he will also learn what the facts of life, which is applicable to his life. The facts of life which I know, or I think I know, are the facts of life applicable to me. Acceptance of this situation is what is Nididhyasana. So that is why I said at every transaction, every interaction with everybody, what is required is alertness and awareness. Not allowing even for a moment our emotions to overtake that and lead us into more problems. That is how the Nididhyasana needs to be practiced. So, in short, what Nididhyasanam is dropping all the habitual reactions to the situations that we face in our life. Dropping the habitual expectations for the future, expectations of changing the situation, changing the people, all these things, dropping all that. Let them go, as they call, let go of them. Because if we understand our Swarupa Ananda, then we understand that that Ananda is not depending upon any situations or any people or any objects. I don't need anything to be happy. Atmani eva Atmana tushta. I am very happy with myself. I don't need anything. If we don't have this approach, then if we are depending on people, objects, etc. for our Ananda, we will continue to be in samsara. Right? Even though we might have studied Vedanta, attended so many classes and all that. Like I used to give you that example of Swami Chinmayananda. One person came and told Swami Chinmayananda that I have gone through 10 Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita. And Swamiji said, very good, very good. I'm very happy to know that. But tell me how many Upanishads have gone through you? So the question is not whether we have studied, whether the message of the Upanishads has been imbibed, has gone through us. That is what is a Vedanta sadhaka's attempt should be. So that is what is about Nididhyasana. But does that mean that we should accept everything without any reservation? If the son is misbehaving, or if somebody else is misbehaving with us, or with anybody for that matter, or doing some adharmic activities. Let us take that example. Adharmic activities is doing. Should we keep quiet? I am a Vedantin, I will accept everything. Vedanta says no, that is not what is meant by saying accepting. What a jnani would do, when jnani sees somebody doing certain things which will harm that fellow's life in some way or the other, what the jnani will do is he will give him upadesha. Try to explain to him that what you are doing is not good. It is going to spoil your life. It is going to spoil your happiness. It is going to spoil not only your life and happiness, but also people around you. It is going to spoil their lives also. So that upadesha will be given. One has to give that upadesha wherever he feels, this is there, whether that person is very close to you or not close to you. Normally, person is close to you, you will feel more free to give the upadesha. But having given that upadesha, don't have an expectation that person will accept your upadesha and change. That is where the difference comes. The moment you give the upadesha and you find that person is not changing, there is bound to be dvesha. So acceptance does not mean that you should not try to give the right advice to people for them to change. Acceptance is, despite all your efforts, if the person doesn't change, accept him as he is. Don't develop a dvesha or a hatred, dislike for that person. This is at the body-mind complex level. Why? Because that person also is within you. You are the one who has created that person, being a Jagat Karanam. You are the Karanam for everything there in this world. How can you actually have any dvesha for your own product? Isn't it? So, all these things, we have to understand. Expectation management, acceptance management, all these things we have to say. And so the ananda we are talking about is not this experiential ananda. And this is the attitude of a jnani. So in short, no expectation, no reaction. I am happy with all that my prarabdha brings to me. As long as I am actually occupying this body, mind, sense complex, all the prarabdha which are applicable to this body, mind, sense complex, they will have to go through it, whether it is in terms of a spouse or relatives or situations or in office or wherever it is. This body, mind, sense complex will have to go through that. And since I am living within this body, mind complex, I am witnessing all these things. I am a sakshi for all this that is happening. So I must just take it as a witness only and not get involved in that. Not get identified with all these prarabdhas and then lose the knowledge of my swarupa. Right? And that is how we will be able to lead a very peaceful life. So as I said, till the reactions go away, till all these kind of vyavaharika reactions go away, nididhyasanam is to be practiced. Will you reach a stage where reactionlessness becomes the natural state? Remember the example which I gave in Kathopanishad. So what? So what? That journey, if you travel, then your nididhyasanam is successful. So nirantara abhyas, That's what he says. Nirantara, no, he doesn't say it here. So Nirantara Abhyasta. So next verse he will say. 36 Satyam Brahmeva. Correct. Next word is Evam Nirantara Abhyasta. We'll start with the next one. So we'll see that in the next class. So continuously, without any let up, we have to continue to practice this. This is what Nididhyasanam is all about. There's more. I think 2 or 3 more slokas are there where he deals with further aspects of Nididhyasana, which we will see in the next class. Okay. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya
Purnamādaya Purnamevāvasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Harihi
Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Harihi Om. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mama.
இங்க இந்த உபதேசத்தை பற்றி சொன்னேன் இல்லையா? I remember one Supashidam. Upadesho Yathagalam Na Vidvesho Kadajana. ஒரு சின்ன இங்க நடந்த ஒரு எக்ஸாம்பிள். Mention the name. One gentleman had a neighbor. That neighbor was very angry. He was getting angry for everything. So my friend, he called him and advised him. Say, we have to be calm. Otherwise our things will not be got done. And he gave him a book of Subhashidams. He had got a collection of some 300 Subhashidams. He said, you calmly, you read this book. You will understand. See, because of this anger quality, he had to go from here. So when he was going, he tore this Subhashidam book into so many pieces and placed before the man who gave, man's house. It filled me with a lot of joy. See why? Only if you are asked. Especially on spiritual.
That is another aspect of it. Only if you are asked, you must give the advice. That is also there. But sometimes, we will have to overcome them, especially with our children and all that.
Correctly.
Because they will not have that viveka is not there. We must understand. If a person has got the viveka, what he is doing is right and wrong, then obviously, you must not give unsolicited advice. But that may not be universally applicable, especially when it comes to small children and all that. Because they don't know. They may be doing certain things without knowing that it is wrong. And they will not know that it is right. If it is wrong, they may ask. So certain circumstances, we have to use our viveka to see where advice is to be given only after being asked, or where advice should be given without being asked. And especially I am telling you with children, this I have experienced. Many times when you give advice without being asked, children will rebel against that. They will actually appear to reject that advice. But if you don't stop and continue that message, at some point in time, I have discovered that goes into their head and they actually change their ways. So that's what my wife keeps saying. We should keep on telling. Whether they listen or not. At some point in time, if the samskaras will come in, and then if they accept it, well and good. Otherwise, you will not feel guilty that you have not done what you are supposed to do. That is the approach we should take. But as you say, it cannot be applicable in all situations. The same thing will not apply to your siblings. What applies to your children will not apply to your siblings. Because if you tell your brother or sister, they will say, you mind your own business, I know what I do. They will straight away say that. So we have also to be little bit where we have to apply this, where we should not apply this. We have to be careful.
Bhagavane sollirukare.
Ama.
Idele na asusrushave kadajit.
Ama. Correct.
In the Akhandanandam சொன்னேன் இல்லையா? Akhandanandam.
Akhandanandam.
We can call it Sandranandam also. Yeah.
Sandranandam.
Sandranandam.
Here Adi Shankara use Akhanda, right? But normally, when we are always talking about Advaitam, the word Akhanda is what is normally used in all the places by all the Acharyas.
அதுதான் பிரம்மானந்தமா? பிரம்மானந்தங்கிறது அகண்டான்.
பிரம்மானந்தங்கிறது அதேதான். Ananda being the Swarupa of Brahman is Brahman.
Brahman, oh, that is okay.
So that's all the same thing only. But we have to understand it is not an experiential happiness or a Khanda Anandam. That is, happiness comes in installment happiness rather. It is permanent happiness. Eternal happiness.
In the experiential happiness, நமக்கு ஏதாவது ஒரு ஆப்ஜெக்ட்ல ஆனந்தம் வருது. Only when there is a very small touch of the Akhandanandam with that.
Not small touch. What that happiness we get is only the reflection of Akhandanandam only.
Oh, okay.
See, நமக்கு happiness வேற எங்கேருந்து ஒண்ணு வரதில்ல. நம்மளோட சொரூபத்துல இருந்து தான் அந்த happiness வருது. அதான் சொன்னேன், அந்த happinessக்கு காரணம் என்ன? Suppose there is a object. Suppose நம்ம ஒரு எக்ஸாம்பிள் எடுத்துக்கிறோமே, ஒரு Mercedes Benz காரை பார்க்கிறோம். அந்த பென்ஸ் கார் நமக்கு வேணும்னு தோன்றது. Right? So when we feel a desire for that object or that car, we have a feeling of incompleteness, apurnatva. Without that car, I am feeling incomplete. Ippadina oru feeling varudhu namakku. So the moment we get that car or acquire that car, that feeling of apurnatvam in relation to the car goes away for a moment.
For a moment. Then the mind becomes purnaha at that stage. And at the purna mind, that akhanda anandam gets reflected. So we feel very happy. Correct.
This is the process which actually happens. It is not only with the car, with every situation of happiness. Whenever we feel experiential happiness, if as a Vedantin you sit back and analyze what has happened, you will find that at that moment the mind has achieved purnatvam, even though temporarily. And the moment the mind is purnaha, that anandam reflects in that mind. So you feel very happy.
So wherever there is purnatvam, happiness will reflect.
Exactly. That is why you do nididhyasanam aham purnaha. Continue to do nididhyasanam aham purnaha. Understand that you are actually swarupataya purnaha. There is no question of unhappiness at all. This is the secret formula.
In the experiential world, this purnatvam, which we are experiencing, is temporary.
Temporary. It may be there for a few seconds, few minutes, few hours, or maybe a few days, but it will go away.
It will go away.
Because the nature of the mind is like that.
But mama, on the level reach ஆயிடுச்சுனா, but there is no difference. Happy or unhappy அதெல்லாம் ஒண்ணுமே கிடையாது. Beyond that,
then you will be called a jnani, redesignated.
That's it. Yeah, but there is no purnatvam. Okay.
Jnani, who is a jnani? Who has got the jnanam that aham purnaha? He is a jnani.
Correct. Then there is no the மாதிரி happy hippingறதெல்லாம் ஒண்ணும் இல்ல. Everything is okay. அவ்வளவுதான்.
Everything is okay.
Brahma.
There is no always happy with every situation.
ஒரு தமாஷுக்கு சொல்லுவாங்க, நீ என்ன பரபிரம்ம மாட்டுமா உட்கார்ந்துருக்க.
அதைத்தான் நான் மீன் பண்ணினேன்.
பரபிரம்மம்ங்கறத நம்ம சொல்றது நெகட்டிவ் சென்ஸ்ல சொல்றோம். ஆனா பாசிட்டிவா சொல்லிட்டேன்னா it is really good. அது சும்மா அவனை கிண்டல் பண்றதுக்கு ஏதோ பரம்பிரம்ம மாதிரி ஏதோ சீலிங்க பார்த்துட்டு உட்காந்துருக்கேன் அப்படிங்க.
His conception of Brahman is that.
ஆமா அதாங்க. பிரம்மன் தான் ஒண்ணுமே செய்யக்கூடாது, இப்படியே உட்காந்துருக்கணும். அதாக்கா அதுதான் ப்ராப்ளம். அவளுக்கு அவளோட ஐடியா இருக்கு. But we are learning what is the conception of Param Brahman from a Shastra point of view. Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, Mama.
Seri, paakram binna. Next வெள்ளிக்கிழமையா? வெள்ளிக்கிழமை. Happy New Year in advance to everybody.
Okay, Mama. Happy New Year, Mama.
Hariyo.
Happy New Year.
Okay. Happy New Year to all. எல்லாருக்கும் happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
எல்லாருக்கும் happy New Year
To everybody.
Okay, பார்க்கலாம்.